I'm going to give you 5 different scenarios that you can use to break up clusters coming off of multiple rails. These are 5 examples to help expand your creativity, show you what is possible, and get you thinking about these shots. If you know this channel, you know that we're not a bunch of robots shooting the ball up and down the table, making this game more difficult than it needs to be for you. I am going to show you real live shots that you can use, but there are literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of different scenarios. But hopefully the 5 that I give you today will spark your creativity and understanding enough about these shots that you will be able to come up with some situations on your own. So let's get going. Here's a situation where we leverage what I like to call the most powerful angle in pool. We are on the low balls. These balls are tied up here. If we had a certain angle, we could play the 1, get on the 2, and break up this cluster. We've got to get so perfect on that 2 ball to break up this cluster. It's not going to happen, most likely, unless we got really lucky. But we can get on this 1 ball with a 45-degree angle, which again is the most powerful angle in pool, for reasons I'm not going to get into right now, other than the fact that it allows you to get around the table and do different things you might normally not be able to do. So look at this cluster here. We play this with high right, come off of these 2 rails. We come down here and we break up the cluster. How do we take 5 shots that I'm going to show you today and turn them into 5,000 shots? Derivatives. What does that mean? It means if I shoot the previous shot and it comes off of 2 rails and always comes back into this zone, I've also got a break of a cluster that's in the middle of the table. If I'm going to pass this cluster on the way from that rail, I can break up that cluster just knowing that first shot. This is a derivative of the first shot. So we get down on our shot, high right-hand English, the exact same shot. We come around, because it's in our way, we're going to break up the cluster. And now we have a legitimate chance of running out. Same situation, different location for that cluster. Execution is exactly the same, and we can be out. What else can we do? Okay, gang, pocket hangers, very good tools for breaking up clusters. But you want to reduce the number of variables as much as you can. What does that mean? Well, I can't hit the 3 from here directly. From here, I can come off the rail first, but you don't want to come off that rail first. If you can reduce the variables by not having to worry about this rail, you have a much, I'm talking like a 50-to-1 shot versus even money shot of breaking these up. So let's take a look. Instead of trying to come off the rail first, let's say we drew our cue ball back here to the rail. So now we can hit the 3 any way we want. We come off of this with right-hand English. This is high left. And we have a chance to come off of multiple rails, break these up, and have a legitimate chance of running out. Now notice, I came this way from the angle that I hit that. I could have come in here and broke them up. I could have hit them directly and broke them up. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to reduce the number of variables involved. And the more you have to do to pull off the shot, the less you want to take that route. All right, let's look at something else. Okay, here's our derivative shot. Try to say that fast. Here is our derivative shot. We are, once again, same situation, but our balls are clustered up there now. If I have this angle on the 7, I can actually go forward and have a decent chance of breaking those up. If I'm on this side of the 7-shot line, can't quite get there. So what I could do, same thing we did before. We want to get up against this rail. We come up against the rail, and we give ourselves the same shot that we had when we were coming down here. Why? Because those are along our path. So now we can shoot this with high left, just like we did before. come over, break up the cluster, have a legitimate chance to run out from here. We came through all this traffic, but we didn't have to. If I hit it softer, I would have left the cue ball up there. But we are pretty much out from here. So keep in mind, every one of these shots has a derivative. And most of the time, here's the good news, most of the time, the shot that you need to take is not going to be off of 3 rails. It's going to be off of 1 rail or 2 rails, but having these shots push you out on those easier, other than the multi-rail shots. So keep that in mind. Here's a shot, guys, that I probably show you some variation of this shot just about once every couple months or so if you watch the channel religiously, as you should be. Now, we are on the low balls. We're on the wrong side of the 7. We need to break up our cluster. A lot of times I show you this shot to get position on a shot like this, but it also works for breaking up clusters. Let's take a look at 2 things we can do, one easy, one more exotic. We play the 7 with high left-hand English. The reason for the English, guys, I know a lot of you beginner and intermediate players aren't sure why we're putting the English on the ball or what running English means. The English gets the ball around the table. Without the English, the ball stalls on the rail. It doesn't follow the correct path. And even the diamond system, if you're using the diamond system, doesn't work unless you put running English on these shots. Just a quick note, what is running English? It is, my cue ball is going this way, so I want it spinning in the direction that's going to make it easier to go around table. That's what running English is. Now, with that out of the way, let's look at this shot. We play this with high left, running English, come off at 3 rails, break up our cluster, and give ourselves a chance to run out. One more rail, we just need to touch them. That's all. I could have come in and hit it from this side, once again this side. Remember, we just need to get in this zone when they're here in front of the pocket. What are your derivative shots? Cluster could be there, it could be in the middle of the table, it could be over there, it could be there. All of those things, as long as you're going along that route, help you get there. Let's look at a more exotic version of this. One of my favorite shots, so I know you guys have seen it before. Now, we have a very similar route, except we have a ball in the way. We can't go around the way we did. So what are we going to do? We're going to shoot a draw shot that comes off of this rail and gets down here. This is not a layup, guys. This is not an easy shot. So, advanced players, you have this shot. You may not know you have it, but you have it. Low left-hand English, we need to draw all the way back here and then get all the way around the table. Shot looks like this. Just need to touch them. So, more advanced version. If you don't have a good draw shot, you don't have that second shot, but it is something you can strive for. You guys should be learning to use English. If you didn't see my video on using English with draw shots, that shot might have even been in the video. You've got to have that shot in your game if you're going to run racks in the long run. All right, let's look at something else. The shots we've looked at so far involve traveling quite a distance around the table. But the reality is, on a lot of these shots, we don't need to travel that far to break up our clusters. So here we're on the 11 ball. We have these 2 here that are clustered up. And if we shoot this with low left, we can come off of the short rail and the long rail and literally spin the ball into the cluster, get some separation, and be able to run out from here. So this shot looks like this. We separated the balls. We have a makeable shot on the 9, a makeable shot on the 13 after the 9. This is going to look something like that. Not easy, right? But just breaking those up gives us a chance to run out when before we're looking at a cluster and trying to figure out how we're going to play safe on a table that's just wide open. So keep that shot in mind. There are derivatives of that shot that you might be looking at. The cluster could be here, it could be in the middle of the table, it could be a lot of places. What do? If it's in the middle of the table, you ramp up your speed and you come in from that same direction. So let's look at one more. This one is going to be pretty cool. We talked earlier about the benefits of using pocket hangers to get on a lot of shots. We also talked about using multiple rails coming around a table with side pocket shots. But these side pocket shots in general should not be overlooked. If you're a higher ranked player, high intermediate to advanced, there's a lot of things you can do with the cue ball that will allow you to get on something that's not even as obvious, like from here to that cluster there. You just need to analyze the shot like you're playing any other position, and you will find some ideas. So if I'm playing this, my cue ball lands here. If I play this with high left and come off of that rail down there, I know that I can spin the cue ball off of that rail and towards the cluster, giving me a legitimate shot to break those up. That's going to work. I'm probably going to be out from there. So when you have these shots, don't overlook these ideas. Even a beginner player or intermediate player, give yourselves a legitimate shot to break some of these up. I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. For some of you, the people that you're playing don't even consider the idea of breaking that cluster up. They just want to put that ball in the pocket and they have no idea what's going to happen here. All right? Even if they're 2 balls ahead, they still haven't figured anything out as far as that goes. So just having an idea that the cluster could be broken up puts you ahead of an awful lot of players that you're up against. So keep these shots in mind. If you want to practice them, make a game out of it. Put clusters in different parts of the table and see if you can tag them, because that will get you really good at breaking up clusters. Check out this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. That's always good for the channel. It's good for the videos. And I will talk to you soon. Also, hit me in the comments.